Hey guys, Drano Zero in the kitchen with our hat on and a cup of coffee. Let's make some fancy red velvet cake. Alright, red velvet cake. What we need for ingredients: 1 1/2 cups of sugar. We need 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening. I use Crisco, but you could use any kind of vegetable shortening. 2 eggs, 2 1-ounce bottles of red food coloring. In here I have got 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of salt. Right here I have 1 cup of buttermilk and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So let me get my camera set up here. First thing we need to do is to cream our 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening into our 1 1/2 cups of sugar. So we're going to put this in here. Turn this on and let it start creaming, and it will take it a little bit. I have been blessed enough to have a stand mixer here, so we're going to raise up the stand mixer to the bowl. We're going to let it start mixing together. And we're going to let it cream, and I will be right back when it's all creamed and together. Alrighty, our Crisco and our sugar is creamed. Now we are going to, one at a time, add the 1-ounce bottles of red food coloring, slowly so it doesn't sling everywhere and make a mess. We are going to put in our eggs, 1 at a time, and let those mix thoroughly. Turn that up just a little bit. Let it mix thoroughly before I add the other egg in. Add your eggs in slowly with your food coloring so it doesn't slip everywhere and make a mess. And let that mix well for about a minute or so, and I'll be right back. Alright, our mixture is now smooth and creamy, and the next step is to take your flour, salt, and cocoa mix. The recipe says to run it through a sifter, but I don't sift it. The sifter adds air and mixes it together. I just take a whisk into my bowl and whisk it together and fluff it up and separate it out with the whisk inside the bowl. One last thing that I've got to clean when I'm done with this cake. Like so. Nice and fluffy, separated and aerated on your flour mixture, just like that. Now you're going to add your flour mixture alternately with your buttermilk and vanilla mix. So we're going to add a little bit of the flour. I usually will do it in thirds, about a third or so of the flour, and then about a third or so of the buttermilk. A little bit of flour, a little bit of buttermilk, a little more flour. I'm going to turn the mixer down because it's going to sling everywhere. And then the rest of my flour. Rest of the buttermilk. Going to let it mix well for about another minute to make sure it's all mixed and fluffy, and we'll go to the next step. Alrighty, our cake batter is nice and smooth, and now we're going to take the bowl off of the mixer and set it to the side here. I'm going to get my paddle out and scrape it off the best that I can. I may be moving a little bit slower than a lot of the better cooks out there, but it's not a race. I'm trying to make a nice cake here. I want it to come out pretty. I want it to come out pretty and fancy, because you know how well I do fancy out here in the middle of nowhere. So Alright, now the last step is in this little mixing measuring bowl thing here. I've got 1 teaspoon of white vinegar, and to that I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And you remember the old science experiment where it bubbles up everywhere, and that's what we want. We're going to add this here and let it bubble up. Just using my spoon like this to mix it up so we get them good bubble action going on. Once it's dissolved, while it's still bubbling, we're going to fold it into the cake batter so that that's going to add a little bit of extra lift and rise to the cake batter. Oh, and by the way, you should be having your oven preheat to 350 degrees. If I didn't mention that, sorry. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. There's our finished cake batter. Now I'm going to get my pans ready. We're going to take 3 9-inch cake pans and grease and flour them, and I'll get right back with you. Alrighty, now we're going to divide up our cake batter as evenly as possible into our greased and floured cake pans. And for me, it's a lot easier said than done, dividing it up evenly, but I do the best I can. And that's all cooking is, doing the best you can. As long as it comes out tasting good, that's what matters. Now just kind of spread them around a little bit. Yeah, these are going to be a little bit thin, but they're going to rise up nice, and it'll make a nice, pretty 3-layered red velvet cake. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do each one of these cake pans like this, spread it out, give it a little tap, and get it all into the bottom of the cake pan like this here. When I get all 3 of them done, I'm going to put them into the 350 degree oven and let them bake for about 25 to 30 minutes. So I will see you in 25 to 30 minutes when we're pulling them out of the oven. Alright, it's been 30 minutes. I just pulled these 3 cakes out of the oven. I'll turn my oven off. Here in about a minute or so, I'm going to transfer these to cooling racks so that they can cool thoroughly. And now we're going to start on the frosting or icing or topping or whatever it is you want to call it. So let me get all that set up, and let me get these moved to some cooling racks, and I'll get right back with you. Alright, to start the icing, we're going to get a saucepan. We're going to put it on low, medium heat. I put mine on about 4.5. I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. Going to add 1/4 cup of flour. And I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to whisk this until it makes a almost like a gravy roux or a cream sauce type of thing. You don't want to walk away from it because it'll get clumpy or lumpy. With neither one of those will make a good frosting. You want to cook this over a medium-low heat until it gets until it thickens up, and it'll take it a couple of minutes to just sit here and whisk it, and you'll be happy with the results. So I will catch up with you whenever this is thickened. Alrighty, you see it's getting thick. Whenever you start seeing the bottom and you start dragging it through and you start getting thick, that's when you want to turn off the heat and move it off to the side. Stir it up a little bit more, and then you're going to sit and let it cool off. I always whisk mine for a little bit while it's cooling, just so it doesn't sit there and scorch on the bottom of the hot pan. You want it thick and creamy. should work for now. Alright, so now we're going to go back over here to our mixer. And in the mixer, I have 1 cup of vegetable shortening. I use Crisco. So we're going to turn this on to low. And once this starts going, we're going to add to this 1 cup of sugar. There's 1 cup sugar, 1 cup of vegetable shortening. And we're going to let this start creaming together. Put my mixer on about medium speed. Start adding in my sugar. Now we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we're going to just let this cream over the medium speed. It'll take a little while. My mom and my grandma always told me that you wanted to let it mix until when you rub it between your fingers like this, you don't feel the gritty sugar anymore. You want it all smooth. And this will take a little bit of time. If you're using a hand mixer, you're going to have to use a little bit of arm strength to get it done, but it will work. And if you have a stand mixer, then you can just put it on medium or medium high. I will probably turn this up 1 notch and then just walk away from it for a little while and let it do its thing. Remember, you're also letting your cream sauce cool down on the stove at the same time, so don't get in a hurry. So we'll be right back. Alright, we've been at this for about 15 minutes or so, so I'm just going to take my finger and just get a little bit on it like that and rub my fingers together. I still feel just a little bit of the sugar grittiness, but it's close enough to where I'm going to go ahead and give my bowl here another scraping to clean out the edges. I think during the course of this last 15 minutes or so, I've scraped my bowl I think 3 times, 4 times. I just want to make sure that I get, keep everything working and get it as creamy and fluffy as possible. Now I'm going to get the cream sauce that we made on the stove, the milk and flour mixture, and we're going to add it right on top in here to the mix. Oh, I just knocked my bowl loose. Get all that flour mixture in there and let it beat some more. Let it mix together until it gets super creamy. Super creamy, super fluffy, and super delicious. This will probably be about another 5 minutes or so, beating on medium until it gets to where we want it to be. And as soon as it gets there, we'll start frosting the cake. Alrighty, so we got our cake that's been cooled. We've got our frosting, which is light and fluffy. Light and fluffy frosting that we just got through whipping up. And we've got our little cake storage pan thingy. So now remember, this is a 3-layer cake. So we just take and put some frosting on this bottom layer of cake here. Put it in the middle, work it to the outside. I am by no means a pastry expert dude, baker, whatever. I am just a dude trying to make a cake for his family. So, try to get it as even as I can with the layer so that it looks kind of pretty. But regardless of how it looks, it's going to be delish. It's going to be tasty. I love red velvet cake. Alrighty, so got that layer on. Now I'm going to take the next layer of cake. And you can see where I turn these out upside down onto a wire rack to cool. But that's okay. That's why we're going to put frosting on there, and you're not going to be able to see that the wire rack imprint. And I'm quite sure that even if we could, it wouldn't stop anybody from eating it. I'm not going to eat that. It's got a wire imprint on it. Ew. Alright, so we're just going to stack up our layers like this until we get all 3 layers done. Like I said, I don't want to bore the crap out of everybody with having everybody sit there watching me do this. It can get boring. So we're going to finish frosting the cake, and then a little bit later on when we cut the cake and try it out, we'll let you guys know how it came out and how it tastes. So we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Alrighty, let's give it a cut and see how it works out. When I cut them, I cut this way first, and then I go at a 90-degree angle and I cut the other way, and then I cut slices at an angle like that. Put it on the plate. And there we have it. The red velvet cake. All homemade from scratch. So I hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great evening. God bless in the end. Buzz, buzz, the end.